would you like an adventure now, or would you like to have your tea first? I say we go on an adventure. Our adventure took us to Big Timber, Montana, where my in-laws, Grandma and Papa, live. Our first stop was the fort. You have to fuel up when you're taking a long adventure like this. Glad Stanley was an excellent help. Inside the fort, there's all kinds of things to see and do. All kinds of trinkets to explore, candy to try, fishing licenses to purchase. That's what Mr. Aldridge was doing while I was wandering around with Flat Stanley. Stanley was fascinated by all of the huckleberry flavored things in the store. Jams and jellies, mustards and candies, fudges and popcorns, all kinds of huckleberry flavored things that he never had in Georgia. Now where'd that Stanley get to?
I had lunch from Montana.
Our next stop was the museum inside Big Timber. Big Timber has a lot of historical things. One of them is this big water tanker. It helped firemen save the town in 1907. The railroad runs right through Big Timber too. This is an old rail car from the Northern Pacific Railroad. A lot of the people in this area are from Norway. This building is an old replica of a Norwegian building. Stanley, are you up a tree again? Many of the buildings at the museum are replicas of real buildings that were from the prairies and the mountains. Oh, Stanley. At the museum, they had wooden sidewalks. Stanley loved to walk on them. He had to have his picture made with the old schoolhouse. Can you imagine going to a school with just one room like this one? This is a float that Big Timber Town uses in their parades to represent their Norwegian heritage. Looks like a Viking ship. A lot of the people in this area bred sheep for wool. This is an old sheep herder's lodge. It's like a little camper. Just the right size for one person to be comfy and cozy. Maybe Flat Stanley thinks he should stay in one of those. Included at the museum is a teepee replica that Mr. Aldridge explained to Stanley. There were a lot of Native Americans who lived in this area. Mr. Aldridge and Stanley were pretty good travel partners. Grandma Sherry wanted to make sure that Stanley also had his picture made with the bronze statue out front. These cows are called Oreo cows for their black and white color, and bronze is a very popular medium for artwork in the West. Big Timber is also well known for its important river, the Yellowstone. It runs right by the town. The Yellowstone is the longest river in the lower 48 states that doesn't have a dam upon it. It's absolutely beautiful. Lewis and Clark visited here when they were on the Court of Discovery. Flat Stanley thought the water was pretty cold. Grandma Addie and I decided that Stanley needed another adventure, this time to her family's home place. Her family moved from New Mexico to Montana in 1896. They ended up living in this place in the crazy mountains. Nowadays, you have to open and shut gates on your way back to where her family lived in order for the cows to stay where they're supposed to. Grandma is a very good gatekeeper. got up there, we had a lovely picnic together. This is a very special place for all of our family to visit. No one lives there now anymore, but we enjoy camping, fishing, but especially picnics here. We also drink water out of this old bathtub. Spring water flows right into it. It's delicious. This is the view from Joshua's grandfather's front yard. His house stands in ruins right behind us, but the view is still as beautiful. Addie and Brutus enjoyed exploring all around the old buildings and barns. Chasing chipmunks was one of their favorite. This was a lovely afternoon, full of blue sky and happy memories. The Sweetgrass River is the one that runs right through this canyon. When Mr. Aldridge's family moved to this place, they had a sawmill up the canyon, and his great-great-great-uncles built a dude ranch. A dude ranch is where people who were not really cowboys could come and act like cowboys for about a week. This is the place where they built the Brandon Ranch. It's now owned by another family, but we still get to visit and reminisce this beautiful place. You can stay here too and pretend you're a cowboy. The fall colors were absolutely beautiful. The trees were bright gold and yellow. It was simply a beautiful time to be there. If you woke up very early and had your binoculars at Grandma's house, then you got to watch the deer. We were able to enjoy these deer one morning. They were right by the house. They enjoyed the sunrise just as much as we did. I think they knew we were watching them. They put on quite a show. We also visited Big Timber Canyon. Big Timber Canyon is on the other side of the mountains in the Crazy Mountains. Flat Stanley wanted to ride in the back of the truck so bad. The golden trees at the foot of the mountain are aspen trees. Aspen trees are a type of tree that even though they grow individually, they depend on one another, just like a family does. This is quite a beautiful family of aspen trees. And what trip to Montana would be complete if you didn't see horses? We enjoyed visiting these horses as we drove by. We loved watching them trot and run and look back at us. They were just as curious about us as we were about them. Flat Stanley couldn't decide which horse he thought was the most beautiful. In the end, he decided he loved all of them. You remember that one-room schoolhouse at the museum? Well, this one really exists. It's Melville School. When we drove by and visited this day, the kids and teachers, all 22 of them, were outside at recess. They waved goodbye as we drove. Thanks for the trip to Montana with Flat Stanley, Adeline. We dedicate this movie and visit to you.